Hey guys, welcome to the Legacy Wealth Show. Tim Bratz coming to you with a buddy of mine named Sean Whalen. Sean, how you doing, man?
So good, man. So good.
Dude, excited to have you here. I know we've been trying to connect for a while, and um, you're somebody that is an inspiration to me, and good friends with Mark Evans as I am, and we run in a lot of the same circles with a lot of great people. So it's awesome to connect. You're a massive influencer and making a big impact, right? I think that's a lot value driven based on the value that you provide, to the point where I know you run the Mastermind Line's Not Cheap, and I know that you have like 575,000 followers on Facebook, which is just remarkable. And so I want to dive into a lot of that, and then a lot of the mindset stuff that that you talk about. Absolutely. And a lot of the philosophical stuff. I know both of us are fall into that realm. So why don't you just get started, man? Tell everybody a little bit about you and what your background is, and how you became an entrepreneur, and how you got to where you are now.
Cool. I'll keep it short. I mean, probably a lot of your people know who I am or read the book or whatever else. But I was a young entrepreneur, grew up in a single parent home, did the 9-to-5, had a real job, where somebody cuts you a check every 2 weeks for a couple of years. And I hated it. I couldn't stand it. I was way overqualified for a 9-to-5 job, and I found myself really successful being an entrepreneur. Made a lot of money at a young age in the mortgage game. Started a mortgage company and grew it from me and two other guys to we were doing hundreds of millions of dollars of loans, and kind of found some niches inside of there and became really successful at presentations and showing people the strategies of investing and things like that. Parlayed most of that money into real estate, into deals. This is 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007. 2008 rolls around. I got my clock cleaned like a lot of other people did. I found myself, as I talk about in my book, like juggling bowling balls. It was like, this is what success looks like. This is what wealth looks like. You got to have the big house and the cars and the watches and the things. And I had all that shit. I had the boats. I had multiple houses. 170 employees. We were making a lot of money in one company, and my development company was losing a lot of money. And I literally felt like I was juggling bowling balls every single day. And I reached a point when I was 31 years old where I was like, what am I doing? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, I have everything I'm supposed to have. Why am I not happy? Like, this is what everybody told me this would look like and feel like and be like. To make a long story short, I went through a pretty interesting time where I burned my entire world to the ground. I left my company, which was doing $25 million a year. We had literally hundreds of employees, and walked away. Took no assets, took no equity, left a 10-year marriage. I don't know what a midlife crisis looks like, but if it means burning your entire world to the ground and sticking your head up your ass for 18 months, that's essentially what I did. And in that period of time, I went into a really dark place where I alienated myself. I cut everybody out of my world. From a young age, we're told what things look like. This is what life looks like. And you go to school, and this is how it should look. And you're successful if you do this, and this. Well, I did all those things, but I fucking hated my life. I was like, dude, what am I doing this for? Mm-hmm. And I started asking myself that question, and I went down into a really dark place until one night I put a 9mm in my mouth and almost blew my brains out. I contemplated suicide. I had burned my world. I burned my marriage. I burned my business to the ground, and was in this place where I was like, fuck, what am I doing? Like, maybe it would be better if I left and my kids could grow up without this crazy wild dad, this entrepreneur who was unstable and all this other place. And I wrestled with that all night, and I woke up the next day. Luckily, with a bottle of whiskey next to me and then this Ruger P95 next to my head. And I did for the first time something that I'd never done before in my life. I reached out for help. As an alpha, it was like, dude, just put your big boy pants on, go make shit happen, right? Mm-hmm. And when I went through my divorce, there was no addiction problem. There was no infidelity. It was just like two people merging, like just going opposite different directions. And I was too prideful to ask for help. I was too prideful to hire coaches or mentors or anything like that. I was just the guy who was supposed to do it all himself. And I did all that myself and didn't have a lot of the answers. And so I would just bullshit my way into trying to get these answers, and it didn't work. And I went on a really interesting discovery through that process where I started looking at why I did things and why I was doing the things that I was doing. I read these books by these moguls, the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, the Steve Jobs of the world. And here they were spending chapter and chapter and chapter telling us about their rise and their empires. And then they all said the same thing at the end of their book. They all said, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would have spent more time doing the things that I wanted to do. And I would have spent more time with my family.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at a 12-hour day, a 15-hour day as like, that's what I was supposed to do as a man, as a father. Like this was the grind, the hustle. I mean, shit, you get on social media nowadays and that's all you hear, grind, hustle, grind, hustle, grind, hustle. I did all that shit. And there's really nothing attractive about any of it.
Mm-hmm.
The grind. That word alone sucks. Unless you're naked with a chick in bed grinding, there's nothing cool about grinding in a business. And so I started reverse engineering everything. And I looked at it and said, well, if I'm going to take what they're telling me to heart, like I'm going to build a life and then I'll build a business to support that life instead of going the other way around and working for 40 years until then I can take my pension and my 401k and my retirement. And then I can have fun. Mm-hmm. Then I can go race Baja. Then I can buy toys. Then I can travel the world. I'm like, fuck that, dude. I want to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why can't I do that now? And so the last couple of years have been a really, really, really interesting experience for me. I started sharing a lot of the darkness on social media, and I've built a huge following, almost 1 billion views of my videos and posts because I share real shit. Like mm-hmm. It's not theory. It's not, well, hey, I read this in a book. Go try this. It's like, no, dude, I did this. Like I almost blew my brains out. I struggled severely and still have depression and thoughts and anxiety and fear and all this other shit. And I found as I started sharing these things, 2 things happened. Number one, there was a massive amount of people out there that resonated with it, especially men. And number 2, I felt better. So instead of living this life where I was like, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good, man. I'm good, man. I'm like, no, dude, I'm not good. And I don't have answers to this. And I need coaching and I need, mentors and I need to learn these things because at the end of the day, like I didn't want to die. Right. And it's just a fascinating reality to see how many men are killing themselves. There's more men killing themselves now than ever before in the history of this country, including the Great Depression. And you stop and think about it. It's not because there's no money. It's not because we don't have the opportunity to make a lot of money. It's not because there's no pussy out there. It's because we're fucking liars. And I spent a good majority of my life lying. And it was when I flipped the script on that and said, no, dude, this is the truth. The truth is I don't want to sit in an office all day long. Mm-hmm. The truth is I don't want to have 100 employees that run me fucking ragged. The truth is like, I want to play. The truth is I want to travel the world. The truth is I don't want to work. Like I love working, but like, I don't want to. I'd rather be on a beach smoking a fucking cigar with my kids. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden I realized, well, that's the truth. And why can't I go do that? And there's no reason not to be able to go do that. And so I've spent the last, 4 or 5 years kind of reverse engineering life. And it's what I do with Lions Not Sheep. It's what I do with my clients. I mean, I have very, very, very successful clients who, work 10, 12, 15-hour days that have built these massive empires going, Sean, I'm watching what you're saying and watching what you're doing. Like, what am I doing? Because we're all headed in that same direction. We're all going to end up being the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, Steve Jobs on our deathbed going, fuck, I have a ton of money, but I can't go buy that vacation now. I can't go buy anything. Like all of my fucking cash, all of my assets, all of my wealth, all of everything doesn't mean dick because I'm dead. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my mission now. And my goal is to literally optimize and squeeze every fucking second of insanity and joy and happiness and experience out of this life and help other people see that this is real. You know what I mean? This is a real thing. All of these men, you, I, me, Mark, all these guys, like, you know what I'm saying? Like we've been programmed a certain way and I'm here to kind of help people understand that maybe that way that we've been programmed could potentially be bullshit because at some point in time, we're all going to end up dead. We're all going to end up on that deathbed. We're all going to end up doing something where we're going, fuck, I have all the cash. I've done everything I was told to do. I didn't even live life. And so for me, that's been my last couple of years is really sharing my personal journey in this and showing people what's possible and not telling them what's possible, but literally showing them through how I live and what I do and how I speak and how I am with my kids and everything else like that. There's a really, really, really cool opportunity to experience life, but you're going to have to check out of the old reality and do some new things. So it's kind of where I am right now in my life and what I do with Lions Not Sheep. And it's been one hell of a ride, man.
Dude, it's a wild story, a lot to unpack there too. So I want to talk a little bit about like, I heard a good quote on Goalcast or something where somebody was like, we all hit rock bottom. Eventually we hit rock bottom. Like rock bottom is having a gun in your mouth is definitely rock bottom, but as bad as rock bottom can be, it's also a great foundation in which to grow from and which to build from. That gives you a stable, something to look forward to, right? And gives you a stable foundation in order to build something better moving forward. And so dude, that next morning when you sat back and you're just like, fuck, I need clarity on this thing. I need vision. I need it. Like, what did that process look like? Like, you sat down and you just try to take a 20,000 foot view of what your life looked like? Cause I know a lot of people, man, you can't see the picture if you're sitting in the frame, you know? Yep. And did you go out and ask? So that's when you ask for help and you ask for somebody else to give you a vision. And I guess, where I'm trying to, like, how do we not get hit rock bottom? If we know that we're going down that path, if somebody feels like, dude, I'm just trading my time for money and I'm going down this rabbit hole of hell, how do I not get to the point where I got a gun in my mouth and make sure that I get that help before then, you know? You're
gonna have to do something that's more difficult than you've probably ever done, which is tell the truth. It's easy for us to go make money, man. It's easy to build a business. Everybody listen to this. I mean, come on. There's fucking dudes selling dildos today, man. There's dudes selling rubber dicks making millions of dollars. Don't fucking talk about money. It's not hard to make money. That shit's easy to do. When I woke up the next morning, like, the thing that came to me that I realized more than anything else, it wasn't like I needed a coach to help me make money. I was still, even though I lost millions of dollars, I was making millions of dollars. It wasn't hard, right? My development company was getting its ass handed to them. But like, I flipped almost 4,000 houses. I don't know very many people on this planet that flip that many houses. Mm-hmm. Period. Like, documented, done deals. Like, when the market crashed, I was a fucking pit bull, man. I went into the market. We flipped we made tons of fucking money, right? That shit's not hard. I woke up the next morning and I realized that how angry I was. I was angry because, like, I had gotten to this place in life, and I know a ton of dudes listening to this resonate. Like, you're angry, like, you're at work, but your wife's mad because she wants you to be home, and you feel like when you're at home, you need to be at work getting deals done. And honey, look, I mean, I got to be here so that we can afford the big fucking house and your Mercedes and the trips to Cabo. You know what I'm saying? I was that guy. I was the dad in Disneyland in line, like, on my BlackBerry, and she's like, honey, do you want to be with us? I'm like, how the fuck do you think we afford to be here, lady? Like, I got to be shit. I got to be doing the shit. Mm-hmm. That's the thing I think so many people are going through right now, especially men, is they're angry. Like, we're angry because, like, what's the solution? Mm-hmm. Well, if I do more here, I'm going to piss somebody off over there. If I do more here, and there's like this internal battle where we're doing everything for everyone else. Yep. Because that's how we've been programmed. Literally, think back to when you were a kid. You, me, I don't give a fuck how old you are, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, it doesn't matter. Every single human being listening to this has been programmed the exact same way. Let me show you exactly what I mean. When we were little kids and we were in elementary school, sit down, quiet down, slow down. You had to sit in your desk, right? I have to go to the bathroom. You had to raise your hand to go fucking take a leak or take a dump, right? The programming, and if you were like me and you got in trouble in school, what would happen? You'd go to the principal's office, and the principal would call your dad. You're like, please don't call my dad. Fuck. Anything would call my dad, because as soon as I get home, I'm going to get my ass beat too. And so literally, we've been programmed since we were little children. If you're religious, go to church. Don't do this. You're a piece of shit. You're going to burn. You're going to go to hell. Anger. Oh, shit. I better not even look at boobies or else I'm going to go to hell, right? I can't talk about boobies. Oh, boobies. It's like this insane programming since we were little children. Mm-hmm. Now grow up. You go to middle school, same fucking thing. High school, same fucking thing. Like, sit down, quiet down, do as you're told. Don't say anything. It's going to offend Tim or your neighbor. Don't listen. Thanksgiving dinner, we don't talk about sex, money, politics, religion, divorce, depression, bankruptcy, anything. Even though that's what all of us are experiencing, we're just like, so, how's the new puppy? And no one gives a fuck about the new puppy, right? Right. And so then you add another layer to it, which is you get into high school and like, all right, good job. You made it this far. Now here's what normal looks like. You go to another school and you get this education. You're going to study something that you're going to then go on to become a professional at. You're going to work 30 years. You'll climb the corporate ladder. You're going to drive a minivan at first because you're going to be poor and you're going to have a fuck ton of student debt, but maybe you're an overachiever and you can make enough money to afford a Suburban and move up in suburbia America. You know what I mean? And that's the American dream. The American dream is to work your way up to this thing and then fucking die. Mm-hmm. Prove me wrong. That's literally how every single person listening to this has been programmed. Mm-hmm. Some of us were a little bit defiant at a younger age and said, no, fuck that. We found out the hard way maybe, or maybe we became wildly successful. Who the hell knows? But at the end of the day, like, what I woke up that next morning realizing is I was fucking mad. I was angry. I had so much anger inside of me. And it's not just me. And this is the difference between me and a lot of other people is a lot of dudes, you ask them they're angry. I'm not angry, man. I meditate. I wear my mala beads and I talk to Jesus. And no, dude, dudes are fucking angry. We're upset because, like, we're born, like, hunters and gatherers. Like, this is what we want to do. We want to go out and build shit. We want to fuck. We want to like love. We want to like go out and just be passionate about life. And we're these sedated sheep. We're fucking robots that go in and punch a clock and sit in a cubicle and do as we're told and go home and eat the same fucking dinner and fuck our wives the same way and wake up and go do the same thing day after day after day. That's literally like a majority of human beings on this planet. And so when you stop and think about that, it's maddening. It's mind-numbing. And that's the reason men are killing themselves, is because you can't say I don't like my life. Because if you do, people are like, oh my God, let's call the family. Let's call a family meeting and have an intervention. Sean's going off the rails. Sean, you need to support your family. You've got good medical and good benefits. Stay for another 20 years and then you'll get your pension and then all will be well. Well, you end up running yourself ragged. You're fat as fuck. You hate your life and you end up having a heart attack and you're dead. And you haven't done dog shit. Your kids, I mean, you go to dinner now and you see a whole fucking family sitting around a table with people on their phones. Like, we're not connected. We don't talk about anything anymore. This is what I see as the major dilemma. And this is what I went through. Is I was that guy. I did what I was told to do. I bought the big house. I moved up. I had investments. I had things. I had money in the bank. I bought a lot of cool shit, but it was like, what am I fucking doing this for? I'm not doing the shit I want to do. I'm doing this because it's like, yay, you know, we got another deal and we got another rental property and and it was like, fuck, man. Like, I want to travel the world, but I couldn't travel the world because if I did, then I had employees and then they would look at me weird and my partners and things. And so I just did as I was told, and it literally drove me mad. And so when I woke up that next day, like, my thing wasn't, I need to make more money. I need to figure out how to do this. And this is what a lot of men think the remedy is. If I just make more money, well, if you make more money, you're going to work harder. You're going to need to hire more people. And we don't understand this game. You know what I'm saying? And again, this is the dilemma is like, I didn't want to be angry anymore. But what I realized is I was angry at me. I wasn't angry at my wife. I wasn't angry at God. I wasn't angry at the market crashing. I was angry because I was a fucking liar. I had all of this shit bottled up inside and I was too big of a pussy to talk about it, let alone live it. And that's what my anger was. And it was like I bottled all of these things up and I didn't say anything. I didn't talk about anything. You know how many men listening to this and guys, girls, everybody, I can't talk about these things on social media because my church people or my mommy or my daddy, we don't talk about anything anymore. It's rudimentary.
Nothing deep, right?
Bullshit. And everybody's going mad and we're sedating with pills and we're sedating with chicks and we're sedating with drinking and we're sedating with money. I sedated with work. Because I was really good at what I did. I sedated with work. When my marriage was falling apart, I just worked more. And she was more resentful, and I was more resentful because I bought her the Escalade and the fucking diamonds, and we traveled. And then it was just this insane madness. And it was because I didn't tell the truth.
It's powerful stuff, man. So when somebody comes to you and they're like, hey, man, this is what I'm living through right now. How do you unpack all that baggage and help them get the clarity that you were able to find?
I mean, step number one is answering a question that I have asked millionaires. I've asked multiple billionaires this question. I believe it's the single most difficult question for a human being to answer. I don't care who you are. I don't care how big your dick is. I don't care how much money you have. It's probably the most powerful question that you could ask any human being because 99.999% of the time we lie. And the question is this: what do you want? Like, what do you want? Well, I want to be happy. No fucking shit, dude. So does everybody. What the fuck does that mean?
Yep.
Well, I want to be successful. What does that mean? I want to have financial stability. What the fuck does that mean? I want freedom. I want to be free. I'm free to take the Sharpie and I'm free to stab this in somebody's eye if I want. I'm free to do that. I'm free to go rob a bank. I'm free to do whatever the fuck I want. There's consequences to all these things. When you really stop and think about it, just think about that question. What do you want? Most people, when I ask them that question, I get this, what I'm an expert at and what I become really known for and what I'm really good at is helping people answer that question because I told all the lies. I told the lies for 15 years. What do you want? I want to be happy. I want to be successful. I want to be a good dad. You know what's crazy, bro? Think about this. I know you got kids. You have kids, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you have kids. I'm just on one right now. The beginning of this football season, my son's in 8th grade, okay? An email went out from the league. And there were a couple of teams where they were trying to find coaches for the teams. Now, I want you to think about this. There's 22 kids per team. has 22 dads that can't or won't or don't take an hour or two out of their day to go coach their kid's 8th grade team. Now just hear me for a second. I ain't judging you. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is that to all of you men out there going, well, I got bills. I got to pay my cell phone bill, and I got a mortgage to pay. Fuck off. The truth of the matter is, I don't care if you're a billionaire, you can't buy back 8th grade football. In a year or 2 or 3 from now, when you're finally successful, your fucking kid's gone and done. You can't buy that shit back. Mm-hmm. When you really stop and think about that from that perspective, bro, like, this is what I've helped people do, is answer that question. Like, what do you want? Because the problem is we're building our dreams, our lives off of lies. Mm-hmm. Sit down, quiet down, slow down. Don't say anything to offend anybody. Just stay at your shithole job, even though I have an idea that I want to do over here, because if I quit, then we're going to lose health insurance and my wife's going to freak the fuck out. So I just do nothing, and I just stay in this robotic, sheepish reality. I mean, you know what? Think about that, man. There's 22 kids per team. That's almost 100 fucking dads, and not one of them would go coach.
It's wild, man.
2 seconds. Like, really, like, put that in your pipe and smoke it, because I don't care if you make $100 million, $1 billion. Buy back yesterday. Mm-hmm. I could hand you, Tim, a pallet of cash right now. I could hand you $1 billion. Change yesterday. You can't. You want to know something even crazier, bro? Change tomorrow. Go ahead, change tomorrow. Here's $1 billion. Change tomorrow. Newsflash, you might be dead by dinner. It ain't about the money, man. Mm-hmm. It's about answering that question. What do I want? What do I want? And the reality is, like, people can't answer that question. And this is what the very first step that I had to do, that I had to go through, is get real about that shit. Because I told all the lies. I want to be happy. I want to be a good dad. Blah, 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 all the same bullshit that every single person listening to this is saying right now. The truth is, I didn't want to work. The truth is, I didn't want to work. That's the truth. The truth is, I don't want to work. I want to make a fuck ton of money, and I don't want to work. So, okay, cool. There's some truth. Now I get to build from that. What does that look like? What does that mean? How much is a fuck ton of money? How much time do I want to put into making a fuck ton of money? You understand what I'm saying? Like, when you go down that rabbit hole, man, it goes really, really, really deep. And what most people don't do when you're hanging out with your buddies, you're golfing, you're playing, how you doing, man? I'm good. Nobody's talking about real shit. You're just drinking beer, talking about friggin' stupid shit, and then you're done golfing and you go home to the same shit. Mm-hmm. This is literally life. And what I find really, really, really fascinating is that I don't care who you are, what job you have, what title you have, where you are in life. It's one of the most difficult questions for a human being to answer is, what do you want? And what I had to do is get real with myself about what I really fucking wanted. I didn't want to be angry anymore. It wasn't making me a good man. It wasn't making me a good father. It wasn't making me a good ex. I didn't want to be angry anymore. I sucked. I was leaving so much money on the table with business by being angry. So it was like, I had to address that shit. I don't want to be angry. So I went down that rabbit hole. And then the other rabbit holes that I've gone down over the last 4 or 5 years through coaches and mentors and the whole thing. But every single person listening to this right now, like, that is the challenge, is answering that question. What do you want? Mm-hmm. Most people have no fucking clue.
What does that mean for you? Like, what does success mean for you? What did you want? Well, I obviously you've been talking about what you wanted, but it seems like, I feel like you alluded to some things of can't change yesterday, can't change tomorrow, like today, right? Being present, being with your family, being with your kids, being, you know, like just being able to wake up and do whatever the hell you want at any given day, any given time, and not having some sort of, somebody else telling you what to do or what to fulfill or anything like that. Is that kind of where you help lead people? Yeah, well, I help people answer that question. I mean, think about that for a second. It's not hard to get in shape. Okay? It's just not. I don't care. I had major spine surgery a year ago, and I'm in the best shape I've ever been in at 41 years old. Like, I'm ripped. I got a 6-pack. Like, I'm fucking ripped out of my mind. Best shape I've ever been in. Mm-hmm. I have every excuse under the sun not to be. Like, I've got cash in the bank that I don't have to do dog shit for a year, and I can pay all my bills and still live the way I want to live. Mm-hmm. I've got almost 600 clients around the world right now that I make money from, that I invest time and energy with, that I'm helping, like, solve these problems and answer these questions, right? Mm-hmm. I realize that, like, success to me is different than what it is to somebody else.
honestly, my definition of success, and it's as rudimentary and basic and simple as you could get, is if I can buy a first-class plane ticket for me and my family anywhere in the world and leave anytime I want, I'm successful. That's my definition of success. Can I buy first-class plane tickets and fly me and my family anywhere in the world and still make money? I'm successful. This, that, you got more money in the bank. He's got more cars. I don't fucking care about any of that shit. None of it. Like, to me, that's what I want. Mm-hmm. Honestly, like when you talk legacy, the big word, your podcast, legacy. Like, everybody thinks legacy. Like, think through this idea for a second. We're working our asses off to leave our children a better future. Think that through. Everybody listen. You're working your guts out today, not coaching your kids' teams, not being able to be anywhere, any place, anytime, to leave them something. If that doesn't sound completely fucking ass backwards to you, I don't know what does. I mean, I literally had a client who was making all of these videos and doing all this content because he was doing it because he wanted his daughter to watch it years from now. I'm like, so you're at the office filming all this fucking content. Where's your daughter? She's home. What? You're working your guts out to leave some kid. You want to know what legacy is to me? I want to die having spent my last red fucking cent. Mm-hmm. What I want to do is spend the next however many years God blesses me on this earth showing my kids, empowering my kids, building them to become independent producers so they're their own multimillionaires.
Yep.
We're not squabbling over daddy's money. I want to spend that shit. I want to die flat ass broke. Here's 50 grand for my funeral. Bury me. I don't give a shit. Bury me on my stomach so everybody can kiss my ass. I don't really care. They're all independent multimillionaires. That's legacy, man. Isn't it?
I agree 100%, man. It's not about passing down treasure or estate or property.
Yeah, what's everybody doing?
Passing down mindset. It's about passing down. Yeah, that's going to make a bigger pivot in your family tree than passing down any amount of cash.
But how many people that you know right now, Tim, are doing that? Really? How many? I don't know very many. I know most dudes are legacy, building, grinding, hustle, grind, to build this empire to leave to their kids. And then all of a sudden they're on their deathbed and their kids don't even know who the fuck they are.
Yep.
They didn't coach your kids' 8th grade football team.
Or it's associated with fucking dad working their dick off for their whole entire life and they want nothing to do with that business because they have such negative connotations that come with it, right?
Here's the thing, man. You and I are sitting here talking about this, right? We're talking about this as just two regular assholes having a conversation. This is truth, bro. This is truth. I don't care who's listening to this. I don't care who you are. Like, you could have all the money in the world. You're going to die. You're going to die. You might go out in a bigger blaze of glory than somebody else. I don't give a shit. Maybe you crash your G650 instead of me crashing my little race truck. I don't know. But we're all headed in the same direction. Legacy to me is I'm never going to end up on a deathbed. I'm going to blow myself up with too much tannerite, or I'm going to make some stupid decision, or I'm going to drive my race truck right off a cliff and just be like, oh shit, I'm dead, right? I'm not going to make it to like 95 and in my home hospice kind of a thing. But let's just assume for a second that I do. Like, I want to be laying on my deathbed with a big ass smile on my face with my kids sitting around freaking eating ice cream and we're just sharing glory stories. Mm-hmm. When I check out, it's like, they're good. I'm good. We're all good because we lived life. Because I know that they're not going to be squabbling over my $50 million estate and kids are suing each other to take daddy's shit because they're a bunch of entitled little fucks. Mm-hmm. That ain't my game. I want to freaking die knowing that my legacy was I empowered people to become independent. To answer that question, what do you want? And help them build that shit. Because once you build the shit that you really want to build, guess what? There's nothing you can't do. There's no cap to the money. There's no cap to the lifestyle. There's nothing. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But everybody is focused on these lies that we've been told to believe. And that's the reason they're miserable. Mm-hmm. There's more people popping pills than ever before in the history of this country, man. There's more kids killing themselves than ever before. There's more substance abuse, like prescription drug addiction, than ever before in the history of this country. Why? It's not because we're all slipping on ice more and our shoes don't have the traction that we think they should have. It's because we're fucking miserable. Mm-hmm. It's because we're lying. Men, women, husbands, wives.
How are you making sure that you're passing this on to your kids, this insight to your kids? I know, dude, you're always taking pictures of your kids. You guys are always out.
I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how. My son is 10 was 10 years old when he was my co-driver for the very first Baja 500 that I raced.
I remember.
That's how. My friend flew me down there on his Challenger, his Bombardier Challenger, beautiful jet, makes hundreds of millions of dollars. He said, "Come down to Mexico, come check out the Baja, teach me some social media on the way down, and I'll pay for everything." I said, "Great, awesome." I'm down there. I'm like, "Dude, this is dope. I've never done this before. I didn't ride a dirt bike till I was almost 30 years old."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting at the finish line. He crosses through in his $400,000 trophy truck, jumps in a helicopter, flies out, gets into the Razor with his, I think he was 14 at the time or 15 at the time, his son. And I'm standing at the finish line as they both cross the finish line. And I'm watching him and his son take his helmet off, and I was like, that's the shit. I'm standing there by myself, literally with tears coming down my cheeks, like, that's the game. That's the fucking game. Mm-hmm. That's the game I want to play right now. Like, that is what I want. And I literally picked up my phone, and I FaceTimed my son. I'm like, "Bro, do you want to do this with me?" He's 10 at the time. He was 10. He said, "Hell yeah, Dad." I was like, done. And literally, I didn't know anything about this. I knew nothing about off-road racing. I literally came home, I checked my bank account. I know how much money I got in there. I'm like, I got two options. Stack my cash, or I'm going to go buy a fucking race truck. Mm-hmm. I literally called a buddy of mine who was a mechanic for the Nitro Circus. I was like, I don't know anything about this. I know nothing about what I'm doing right now. I'm going to buy a race truck. Will you come to Vegas with me and make sure that this race truck that I found is good? And he said, sure. And I literally drove down to Vegas, grabbed a stack of cash, bought this truck, and within 30 days, my son and I were racing.
It's awesome, man.
And literally, he and I have raced the Baja 500. We've raced the Baja 1000 together. And the last Baja 1000 we were at, a guy came up to me and he recognized me from social media. "Hey, Sean, my son's in the truck, going through contingency, signing autographs with all these little Mexican kids and the whole thing." And he's like, "Man, this has been on my bucket list for 20 years. The guy was probably in his 50s. I said, "Why don't you race it?" "Well, I got kids in college." The same thing that 100% of these motherfuckers out here listening would say. "Well, I got kids in college and I got retirement coming," and blah, blah, blah. Every fucking jack-off excuse.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, bro, let me ask you a question. There's a company down here that rents buggies for 15 grand. You pay them 15 G's. You get the race suit, the helmet, the buggy. They'll fill you up. They give the map, you race this fucking race, the Baja 1000. You and your kid. I said, would you even notice if your 401k or your retirement was 15K lighter? He's like, probably not. I said, that's the difference between me and you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference between me and you. You sit down with your financial advisor going, well, we got to be at 10 years down the road, 15 years. You might be fucking dead by dinner, bro. Mm-hmm. And honestly, a lot of people think that this sounds cavalier. A lot of people think this sounds euphoric and it sounds unrealistic. Is it? How many people listening to this right now know someone who died prematurely in a car accident or didn't wake up or had a fucking heart attack or blew their brains out? Everyone. Mm-hmm. It's not unrealistic. I am not guaranteed. No one on this listening to this is guaranteed tomorrow. None of you is guaranteed tomorrow. No one is. I don't care how big your house is. I don't care how many Lambos, Ferraris, McLarens you got. I don't give a shit how many Bugattis are sitting in your driveway. Mm-hmm. You might be dead before the sun goes down. Mm-hmm. That's the difference between me and what I feel to be a lot of people in this entire societal programming that we've gone through. Is I realize like I'm gonna die. And I want to live every fucking second like it's my last, man. Mm-hmm. It's not. I'm not irresponsible. I got cash in the bank. I got myself set up to where I know that I'm a producer. Mm-hmm. I know that like if all of a sudden I didn't make any money, I could make money, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, people that are listening to this right now have retirement for 20 years stacked up. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about that for 2 seconds. Like, what's stopping you from going and building your dreams, from racing this race, from doing your shit? This idea that somehow, somewhere down the road, I've got to have all of this so that I can make it to the finish line. Mm-hmm. And yet the Baja keeps coming and going and coming and going and coming and going. That's my reality, man. That's my truth. Is I'm no different than anybody else. I got bills to pay. This computer ain't free. My lights aren't on for free. Nobody's filling it. I don't go into Chevron and like, hey, Mr. Whalen, here's some free gas for you. Mm-hmm. I got bills and kids and child support and all the same shit that everybody else has. I got dogs and the whole thing, man. Mm-hmm. I just made a decision a couple of years ago that when I answered that question, what do I want? I want to live life. I want to do every damn thing that I want to do. I want to travel where I want to travel. I want to literally race with my son. And I've done it. And I continue to do it every fucking day.
dude, whenever I go through an epiphany of life or business or whatever, and I make a declaration and you don't know fucking door that's going to open up after you close one, a door or a window always opens up though. Right. So like you burn the ships on your old business. You're like, I'm not doing this shit anymore. I can't, like everything's crumbling. Right. All of a sudden you speak your truth, you talk about it on social media, and how many other opportunities arose? Like everybody has this this limitless fear that's just holding them and inhibiting them back from doing anything that they really want to do. But the reality is, dude, there's always an opportunity. There's always a way to make more money. There's always a better something that's going to come down the road, man.
Yeah, the problem is most people will never realize it because they're never willing to take a chance. They're never willing to do this because of the programming. Do as you're told. Don't do anything that's out of the norm. Well, Dad was a lawyer and he built up the practice, and so I need to be the lawyer. And if I quit my job, I lose my health benefits and blah, 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 and all of the shit.
Yeah.
Literally, this guy is standing there with me and my son in Mexico. Say, dude, this has been on my bucket list for 20 years. 20 years is wanting to race this race with his son. He's like, my son's in college now and I got to pay for college and I have tuition and I have all of these other things. And that's the thing that's scary to me the most is like, that's the programming. I'm not here to say you're right or wrong or good or bad. It doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck what you do. I don't care what anybody does. I don't care if you end up with 80 million freaking apartment complexes. Good for you, bro. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I just know for me, like, this is my reality. This is my truth. I played the game. I did the deal. I'm really fucking good at what I do. I could turn on the real estate game at any point in time. I've already proven it. I've already done it. You know, I sat down with one of my closest friends, dear mentor, a few years ago, and I had 100-something rentals. And I was like, dude, I need you to, he is big into multi-unit. I said, I need you to kind of guide me and teach me some capital stacks so I can start doing some multi-unit. I was like, I'd rather own 100 doors on 6 acres than 100 doors over 6 zip codes. And he looked at me, and I'll never forget this moment. And for as long as I live, he's like, you want me to be real with you? He said, that's the reason we're sitting here, bro. And he said, ride the wave. I was like, what? He said, ride the wave. So what do you mean? And he's like, people love you. Lions Not Sheep is blowing up. Where are you most passionate? I said, with that. And he's like, you can always get back into real estate, man. He's like, you've proven it for 10 years. You've made millions of dollars in real estate. You coached hundreds of people on how to acquire real estate. You literally own thousands of properties, Sean. You've proven you're really fucking good at the real estate game. Where's your heart? I said, it's here. And in that moment, I made a declaration, and I called all my agents and I sold every single one of my properties, every single one of them. It took us about 7 months to liquidate every single thing. I sold every single piece of real estate that I owned. Probably not, I mean, you're a real estate guy. Do what you want to do. Listen to Tim. If you're following Tim, whatever. I don't really care. That was my game. And I went all in on Lions Not Sheep. I went all in on what I was passionate about. And I can tell you that, I mean, I literally do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want. And to me, that's success. I don't need to swing dicks and say, well, you got more cash or I got more cash or he's got 3 Lambos and I got this or I got that. I'm like, I drive a GMC Sierra every single day. But I can drive to the airport and fly anywhere in the world whenever I want. And I don't think about it. To me, that's the life that I want, man, because I know I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. And I don't wake up morbid. I don't wake up going, oh, dude, I might die today. I wake up so fucking grateful, man. I live in a beautiful home. I look out over a gorgeous valley here in Salt Lake City. I can turn my computer on and it'll fuck up my desk. I wake up and I look out that window every single day and I'm like, yes, another fucking day. I got eyes. I got fucking breath in my lungs. I'm like, dude, let's go. If you can't find joy and excitement and motivation in the fact that you got another day, you better reevaluate your life. You better reevaluate what you're doing, because if you're working these shit-ass jobs you hate, going into an office with people you can't fucking stand, and you come home being an asshole to your wife and your kids or your girlfriend or wherever, dude, you better fucking reevaluate, because one of these days you're going to be sitting there, you're going to get T-boned and dying and going, what the fuck did I do? And at that point in time, you can't do anything about it. It doesn't matter how much you got. It doesn't matter how much money you have stacked. That's just truth, man.
Dude, and what you're saying, man, is in my eyes, true legacy. Dude, you're living it, and there's no way to teach your kids something. Hey, like they're going to see what we do. They're going to watch, and they're going to mimic and imitate exactly what we do. And that's the best coaching and the mentorship and guidance that we can give our kids.
Every single year, the Mint 400 is a race that's down in Vegas. It's kind of like the Super Bowl of off-road racing here in America. And it falls on my son's birthday every year. So it's kind of like the best birthday present, right, is we get to go race the Mint 400. And I gave him my word. I said, you will be my co-driver in every single race. Now this year's different because I just bought a new race razor, and he's gonna start driving. He turns 14 in a month, so he's 13 right now. And last year, I'll never forget it as long as I live. This guy was putting a huge conference on in Vegas, and he's like, "Hey man, will you come keynote for me?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm racing with my kids." He's like, "There's 800 people, whatever." I'm like, "Dude, I'm here racing with my son. Like, it's his birthday. Fuck off. I'm not doing it. I'll pay." I didn't care. Like, I'm at that space. I don't fucking care. I don't need the money. I don't need your 800 people. I don't give a fuck. And I was like, wait a second. I have an idea. And so I said, yeah, dude, I'll do it. And so I brought my son. And I'll never forget as long as I live, like them calling me up there and everybody's cheering and laughing, the whole thing. And I had 800 people sing happy birthday to my son. And then I called my son up. And I was supposed to give this big ass keynote and rah, 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 go get him, everybody. Yay. And I'm like, no, dude, let's have a conversation with my son. And we stood up there on stage in front of 800 people. And I just said, what questions do you want to ask my son? And like, he's standing there with a microphone at freaking 12 years old in front of 800 people. I'm like, this is my shit. This is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can talk about it or I can be about it. And I'm like, if you wanted me to be here, this is how. And we sat there for 20 minutes with my son, man. And it was magical. People came up afterwards. They were like, that was the most motivating shit I've ever seen. You could have talked about ClickFunnels and scaling and growing and ROIs and KPIs, blah, 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 all the shit that's easy. And like, the fact that you called your son up there and you had this conversation that was raw, off the cuff, like there were more men that came up to me after that. They were like, dude, I want to go home and be a better father. I was like, cool, man. Again, there were people taking pictures with my son and stuff like that. Like, that's the legacy.
That's awesome.
That's the jam for me, you know? And I think a lot of people probably listening to this right now are like, dude, I think I'm being presumptuous, or I think I'm being an asshole. I grew up in a single parent home. There's no silver spoon. There's no safety net around me, man. This is real. This is me. I'm the same way. You got Mark Evans. I'm the same way in person as I am online. There's no facade here. There's no story that I'm trying to like pitch people. And I'm living this shit, man. Just look at my life. Look at what I do. I'm living this because I realize it's real. It is very, very, very real that every person listening to this right now may not ever see another sunrise. That's very real. Like, I want you to think about that. How much different will you watch the sunset tonight?
Mm-hmm.
How much more passionately will you kiss your woman? How much more tenderness will you show your kids? If you knew that this was the game, this was it, you'd be a different person. But we somehow think that the game's going to run forever. That just happens to somebody else. Somebody else dies. Somebody else gets into a car accident. Somebody else chokes on their food. Somebody else has a heart attack. And then all of a sudden, some dude that's 39 years old has a heart attack. And you're like, what? Fuck. I just chose a couple years ago to like go all in on this game because this is the game, man.
It's powerful stuff, man. Powerful stuff. So there's a book that I read, and I ask a lot of people these kinds of questions, right? Because like we talk about legacy wealth, we talk about building up and all these different things. But again, I'm very aware. I listen to people who are much wiser than I am, who have lived longer than I have gone through greater shit than I have, and I read those kinds of books too. And I remember there's a book that I read called "The 5 Secrets You Must Discover Before You Die," and it asks these questions. And I ask a lot of people these questions. What brought you the greatest, like, so what they do is they interviewed, I don't know, 300, 400 people who were voted on and nominated as attaining high levels of wisdom in their life. And they went through and they asked everybody the same 8 questions. And it's a lot of the stuff that you've been talking about. What brought you the greatest happiness, right? And you're talking about doing stuff, being present, being with your kids, doing all those kinds of things. What are your regrets? I know we talked a lot about that, and trading your time for money and going to work and doing shit and living up to somebody else's expectations versus your own, living on somebody else's terms versus your own. Another one was what mattered and what turned out not to matter. Like, dude, we've been talking about that the whole time. But I guess my point is, man, I go through all these questions and I mean to ask them to people at the very end of every single one of these podcasts that I do, and you're hitting on all of it the entire time, right? So, you're at a point where it seems like, Sean, you got your shit together, right? I've talked to you about this before. Remember when we were talking
Most days I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. Most days.
And that's what was your answer, right? Which is probably the answer of somebody who has their shit together, right? Like so
the more I know, the more I realize I'm dumb as fuck. The more I know, the more I learn, the more I realize how I don't know jack shit.
Right. But I remember also asking another question, like, what does keep you up at night, right? It seems like you have all this stuff figured out. It seems like you really understand what you want out of life. Today, like, what is there something? There's got to be something, right, that keeps you up at night, that creates a little bit of stress and anxiety or something in your life. Like, what is that thing?
My biggest fear, people ask me what my biggest fear is. My biggest fear is obviously something happening to one of my kids. Mm-hmm. I don't know how some people make it through that. But I have a reoccurring nightmare, and I've had it for quite a while. And it's me laying on my death. I've visioned my death. I've literally visioned me on my deathbed. Like, you close your eyes. I mean, you can vision yourself laying there. Like, you just see yourself laying on this deathbed. And I have this reoccurring nightmare that I'm laying on my deathbed, and God put ideas in here and he put passion in here, and I squandered it. Like, I didn't do anything with the ideas that he put here and passion that he put here, because I was worried about some asshole on Facebook saying something. Or I was worried about a cousin or a mom or a dad or a brother or sister or a neighbor judging me. And that is probably my greatest fear, is knowing that if I didn't have tomorrow, that I left shit unsaid, undone. And that's the reason I'm such a massive advocate for this. Massive advocate for this. Because at the end of the day, like, everybody's like, well, my mom did this and my dad did this, and he was an asshole and she was a bitch, and my sister and we carry around all of this baggage and bullshit. And in the grand scheme of it, none of it matters. In the grand scheme of this life, none of that matters. Well, they wronged me, or they did this, or I was abused, or I was this. Motherfucker, everything that you've done up to this point has given you knowledge. And you want to know what knowledge is? Perfection. Like, knowledge is perfection. I now know if I touch the stove, it's fucking hot. I now know. I can listen to people tell me, I can think about it. I now know that it's hot. You've been through pain and turmoil and beauty and life. You're fucking perfect, man. Like, hear me. Like, I'm not trying to get all religious and preachy on you. I don't give a fuck what you believe in. I believe in God. I've seen 3 babies come out of a woman's vagina, and you can't convince me that happened by a bunch of rocks just colliding in space. Leave it at that. I believe in God. Like, everything that you've done and you've experienced has brought you to this point. You know what hurts. You know what feels good. You know what's light. You know what's dark. That's perfection. Like, we're fucking perfection. We're perfect creatures going through this experience, making mistakes, learning, having fun, learning. That's knowledge is perfection, man. And you stop and think about it, like, that's what makes life so incredible. That's what makes this entire thing so dope. But yet we're constantly thinking that we're lower than this and we're not good enough and we're the dust of the earth. And the Bible says, and he says, and she says, as a father, man, I would never in a million years want my kids to go through this life with their head down, like, I'm just a piece of shit, man, and hopefully I make it to heaven, and hopefully I'm a good person, and I hope. Fuck that shit. Fuck that. Hold your head up, man. Like, you're a fucking king. Act like it. I don't care where you are on the financial spectrum. Stand up. You know what I'm saying? Go make something happen. Go live your dreams. Do you even know what your dreams are? You know what I'm saying? I have this reoccurring nightmare that I'm on my deathbed and I don't say the words that I know I need to say. And you know what I'm talking about. Everyone of you listening knows you have that feeling. A song comes on and you think about texting somebody, but you're like, fuck, he's an asshole. And you don't do it. Think about that for 2 seconds, man. You might never have another opportunity to do that again. You might never have another opportunity to do that again, which is why I'm so out. People say I'm blunt or I'm this or I'm that. No, dude, I just speak my mind because I know I might not have another opportunity to speak my mind. And there's nothing that I fear more than laying on my deathbed knowing I could have $1 trillion, And when I'm in that place of the game, I now no longer have what you and I are blessed to have right now, options.
Mm-hmm.
When you're on your deathbed, like my single greatest fear is they could literally have $1 trillion sitting right next to me. I can't go back and buy that vacation. I can't go back and coach 8th grade football. I can't go back and race the Baja 1000. I'm dead. I can't go back and make love to my woman. I can't go back and say the things that I should have said 10, 15, 20 years ago. What you and I have right now, and every single person that is listening to this that has ears to hear and eyes to see, you have options.
Mm-hmm.
That's my single biggest fear, which is what probably drives me the most to be who I am, to say the words that I say, to live the life that I live, is knowing that if that day comes, when that day comes, I can just sit back and be like, that was fun. And I don't have any regrets. I have no regret.
It, dude. Love it, dude. I think that's an amazing way to close it out too. So, dude, Sean, thank you so much, man. I know how busy you are, and I know how much you value time. And so, like, it means a lot to me, and I know to everybody listening that you would take the time to do this. And, dude, what's the best way for everybody to just connect with you and see your content, and probably social media, right?
Yeah, social media, SeanWhalen.com is my website. You can find pretty much everything that I do there. Yeah, SeanWhalen.com or Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm not hard to find.
And you got a book out too, right?
I did. I wrote a book, and I'm actually getting ready to write book number 2. I wrote a book, How to Make Shit Happen. It's we're closing in on 400,000 copies, which is like unbelievably humbling. Yeah, it's been phenomenal.
Are you doing live events?
I'm going to start again. Yeah, I'm going to start.
I know you pumped the brakes on that for a little bit, right?
Last year I went through some of my own stuff and changed some things in my personal life. And I mean, real talk, just went through a relationship experience that I kind of took the last 8 months to just really do me. I did it all me. Like, I put everything else on the back burner. I haven't done Lines Not Sheep experience. I just put a lot of things to the side and just really focused on getting me right. And, I'm not one of those, it's like 2020, I'm making all these goals. I'm like, no, dude, today's the day. And then tomorrow's the day, God willing. And so I'm getting to a place now where I've had enough people reach out and call and talk, and, hey man, we got to get back to these things. And I'm finally feeling it again. So we'll have a lot more live events here in Q3 and Q4 of 2020 that people can participate in. It's going to be cool.
It's good, man. It's a different type of adrenaline. It feeds a different type of engine there. So it's exciting stuff.
You can go to Tony Robbins and get rah, rah, rah. And a lot of people get motivated by this and go, oh shit, that guy's an asshole, or man, that's inspiring. But the question is, what do you do now? Like, you turn off Tim's podcast and it's like, okay, you go back to your, like, at what point in time do you plant your flag in the ground and go, today's the day?
Yep.
I'm jumping. Like, I'm going to make that change. I'm going to send that text message. I'm going to do that deal. Yeah, that's what I continue to share with people. And I pray that people get it, because, it's very real. You can't make anybody do anything. I can't make my clients do shit, but most of my clients are your typical guys who have gotten to that place in life where they're successful, 7-figure a year guys who are like, I have everything that you could ever want to buy, but I really want to live life. I really want to live life. And those are my clients. Those are the guys that come and work with me, because I show them how to reverse engineer it and really answer that question. So it's a really fun, it's a fun time to be alive, man. Every day is a fun time to be alive, but it's a beautiful time to be alive.
Love it, man. Well, dude,
thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you again. Appreciate you. See the dogs in the background?
Dogs are running around. I'm surprised they haven't been barking. This is a first for me.
I love it, man. Well, Sean, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. And until next time, guys, see you on the Legacy Wealth Show.